Hello, coaches and basketball enthusiasts. Welcome to the Coach Carvalho podcast, a podcast that explores the world of basketball analytics and goal training methods. I'm your host, Coach Carvalho. In today's episode, we'll examine a critical issue that I believe is costing teams wins: the failure to align defensive game plans with analytics-based goals. We're going to explore why so many teams, even the ones that play hard, are still relying on reactive defensive systems that actually help the offense more than they hurt it. I'll walk you through the most common mistakes I see and explain how they go directly against the numbers that matter. And by the end of this episode, you'll know exactly how to start shifting your defensive system to one that dictates and not just contains the offense. So let's get started. Suppose your defensive game plan isn't built to reduce your opponent's possession time, their shot attempts per possession, and their point production per possession. In that case, you're letting the opponent to control the rhythm of the game and explore their best scoring options. And when the game turns into a rhythm-based shooting contest, it favors talent, not strategy. And that is affecting every coach who's trying to win games without having the most talented roster. If you're coaching in today's game, especially with all the changes brought by the transfer portal and NIL, you know that having the best talent isn't guaranteed. In fact, most of us don't. That's why how you defend matters more than ever. But here's the issue. Most teams are running defensive systems that do not force opponents to play outside of their comfort zone. And I call that a mistake, for lack of a better word. They're allowing the offense to explore their best scoring options without resistance. That's right. Most teams are playing hard, but they're not playing smart. And that's what we're going to break down today. If your defensive game plan isn't aligned with key basketball analytics objectives, like minimizing your opponent's possession time, limiting their shot attempts per possession, and reducing their point production per possession, then you're letting them stay in rhythm. But when you align your defensive strategies with those objectives, you don't just disrupt rhythm. You increase your chances of winning and elevate your team's performance, especially when you're not the more talented group on the floor. Let's start with where that rhythm begins: the point guard. Most teams allow the point guard to walk the ball up, read the floor, and run the offense exactly how they want. There's no ball pressure, no pass denial, nothing that disrupts the offensive rhythm or balance before the offensive possession starts. That alone gives the offense the first win before they've even made a pass. If we're serious about changing outcomes, we've got to make the point guard uncomfortable, force the ball to a side that doesn't favor them, make them change direction, try to generate a turnover early. The tone must be set by disrupting the player who sets the flow and balance. But it's not just about the half court setup. One of the biggest missed opportunities happens before the ball even crosses half court. Most teams don't press, not even lightly. They might extend their defense, but then they drop back and give the ball right back to the player they should be keeping it away from. There are no traps, no pressure, and no plan to force the ball into the hands of a secondary ball handler. That's a problem. Even a soft press, a stunt or delayed trap could slow the tempo, throw off timing, or give you a chance to steal a possession. And that's the core issue. You're not dictating, you're just reacting. Now, let's talk about off the ball defense, because here's another huge gap I see in most teams. Too often, teams guard every player the same way. There's no pass denial to key passes, no pressure on top scorers. Pass denial just isn't prioritized. All five defenders are acting like they're guarding equal threats. And when you do that, the offense runs through their best options untouched. When the top scorer doesn't have to work to get open, doesn't have to fight for catches, they stay in rhythm and they stay dangerous. That's a mistake. Denying passing lanes and limiting offensive touches for the players who matter most should be a core part of any defensive game plan. But most teams don't approach it that way. They guard everyone the same. And in doing that, they give the offense exactly what it wants: time, balance, and options. The truth is, you may not even match up well across the board if you're treating every player like a threat. But when you prioritize pass denial, especially on key actions, you're basically executing a combo defense. You're mixing principles of both man and zone. And that's where it becomes difficult for the offense to read your defense and adjust to it. You're no longer just defending, you're dictating. And because of that, what happens next is predictable. Help side defense gets exposed. When the ball penetrates, help is either late or overcommitted. You see the rotation, but it's too slow. Now you've left a shooter wide open on the perimeter. By the time the closeout comes, it's already too late. The shot's gone. Even when teams switch, they're still letting the best scorers get the ball in the spots they're most comfortable. That's not disruption. That's accommodation. Help defense isn't just about being present. It's about being in the right place at the right time with the right purpose. You're not there just to fill space. You're there to take something away, either stop the drive or prevent the shot. But when defenders float between both responsibilities without a clear objective, they end up in no man's land. They're not helping on the ball, and more importantly, they're not in position to contest the three. That's where defensive systems break down, not because of effort, but because the strategy lacks intent and direction. Now, here's a critical situation that gets overlooked in many games I've analyzed. The post player stepping outside the arc. Most defenders ease off and allow the catch thinking he's not going to shoot from out there. But that's not the point. That catch keeps the offense flowing. It maintains spacing, resets the action, and allows the offense to make another read or run another option. Denying that pass isn't about preventing a shot. It's about disrupting rhythm. It's about breaking the offense's timing, flow, and balance and forcing them to improvise. That one simple entry pass can be the difference between a well-executed set and a broken possession. And if you're serious about building a defense that dictates, not just defends, you can't allow that pass to happen freely. And finally, the pick and roll, the most executed offensive tactic in the game today. In the era of basketball analytics, it's surprising how many teams still rely on the most predictable responses, going under, going over, switching. Yes, these are the most common coverages, but they're also the easiest for the offense to read and counter. The offense knows exactly what's coming. There's no surprise, no disruption, and no intent to destroy the structure of the play. That's the issue. Most defenses treat the pick and roll like it's just another action to contain. But when all you do is contain, like what we teach in the basic shell drill, the player with the ball gets to dictate the entire possession. They control the timing, the reads, and the scoring options. But if you trap that ball screen and then rotate with purpose, especially to deny the passing lane to the nearest options, you change the game. You force a turnover. You get a quick steal. And most importantly, you minimize the opponent's possession time and point production per possession. That's what analytics-based defense is about, not reacting to the play, but taking control of it. Now, let's step back and connect the dots. All these conventional and predictable defensive tactics that most teams still rely on, whether it's softball pressure, no press, passive off-ball coverage, slow help, allowing rhythm entries, or basic read and react ball screen defense, they all point back to the same issue. The defense is reacting, not dictating. It's not proactive. It's not intentional. And it's not built to alter the numerical logic of the game. And when you play that way, when you react instead of taking control, you let the offense run the show. You allow the game to turn into a shooting contest. And if talent isn't on your side, you've already put yourself in a position to lose. Analytics tells us what actually works. Reduce your opponent's time with the ball, limit their shot attempts, and lower their point production per possession. But those numbers aren't just stats to look at after the game. They are strategic goals that your defense should be working to achieve on every single possession. And that requires a defensive system that doesn't just compete, but actively pursues those outcomes. When both teams are equal in numbers, the team that disrupts and denies the offense the ability to keep possession and explore their best scoring options will always have the edge. And when you're the underdog, these strategies aren't optional. They're your only path to leveling the playing field and competing to win. The beauty of basketball analytics is that if your defensive game plan goals aren't being met, you can track it, control it, and adjust in real time. That adaptability is what sets smart defenses apart. Analytics gives you a plan B when plan A isn't working. It removes guesswork. Your decisions don't rely on emotion or assumption. They're grounded in what the numbers say about how the game is unfolding. That's the difference. That's the edge. And that's what separates coaching to survive from coaching to win with purpose. Stat-based basketball wins championships, but to truly employ it, you've got to be open-minded. And you've got to understand that conventional strategies only help teams with superior talent. They don't bridge the gap. So what does that mean for us coaches? It means your defense has to be built with intention, built to disrupt the other team's identity, built to take away what they want, and built to make the game uncomfortable, especially for their best players. Now, defensive concept, today's defense must do four things: destroy, disrupt, deny, and dictate. Force the opponent to play outside of their comfort zone. If you want to win games you're not supposed to win, this is the path. Build a defense that shortens the game, kills rhythm and balance, limits opportunity, and forces the other team to beat you on your terms, not theirs. And let me be clear, today's topic isn't just a theory, it works. This very approach has helped me lead both teams and national teams to championships, even when we didn't have the strongest roster on paper. It's not about having more talent. It's about coaching with purpose and building systems that give your team the best chance to win. But to do that, your training has to be aligned from the postseason to the preseason and into the in season. It starts with your conditioning. It starts with your skill development. It starts with how you build and plan your drills. Without that foundation, you can't fully benefit from what basketball analytics can offer. You miss the adaptability, you miss the in-game control, you're left relying on feel instead of fact. Analytics gives you a blueprint. And when that's embedded into your system, your plan B is already built in. You're prepared for when things don't go as planned. You're no longer reacting. You're responding with data-driven solutions. Well, coaches, that wraps up today's episode. If you want to go deeper or explore how these concepts can apply to your program, visit smarthoopsanalytics.com and schedule a time to chat. Our preseason consultancy is designed to help coaches like you prepare smarter, not just harder. And don't forget, the Coach Carvalho podcast, now in its third season, is available on all major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and more. Until next time, coach with data, defend with intent, and compete with a plan. And remember, the numbers don't lie, only how you use them determines the outcome. This is Coach Carvalho signing off.